Welcome to Ellie and Lucas. Today we're going to share with you the differences between stores in the US and stores in Germany. We're going to start out with some more general differences and then go into the more specific differences. But first, pause the video right now because we would like you to write down on your calendars that we will be having a live stream so we can chat with all of you. You can write your comments in the chat and we will try our best to answer them. This live chat will be on June 19th. And it will be at 9 a.m. Central Eastern Time in the US, so this will be your Midwest time zone. If you're in Germany, it'll be at 1600 in the Paris or Berlin time zone. So pause while we roll the intro and do that.
Before we get into some of the finer points of today's video, we want to both tell a couple of small stories. For me, when we first moved here, we right away kind of wanted to get back to making a kitty castle for our cats because we had one back in the States and they really liked it. They really enjoyed having their own place to lay higher up and look over the apartment. So we wanted to do that again. But how can you put something together without screws or nails or hammers or any of that? So obviously we went to go find one, but we moved into more of the inner city of Essen, and so there's not like a Baumarkt nearby where we are. And even though Ellie had lived in Germany in the past, she kind of forgot that they existed.
I don't know why, it just happened.
So we were like walking up and down one of the more major streets nearby us, and the best thing we could find was a Kodi. And so here I am, early on in our time living in Germany, thinking that Kodi is the best that the country has to offer in terms of like home maintenance needs. Obviously, since then, I've like learned what a Baumarkt is, and we've been to like one or two, actually more than a couple times now for these specific reasons.
We also didn't have a car, so it wasn't easy. It wasn't like we got out much.
Yeah, we really just walked around the inner city for the first like half a year that we lived here. We didn't go very far for a long time because we didn't really have a reason to, and for the most part, everything we needed was within walking distance. And the Baumarkt is not within walking distance from where we live.
Another thing that we'd like to share is that there's also no craft stores here. And I'm like super big into crafting and making scrapbook pages, which I also like to use a lot of special stickers for and special paper, but like, I love living here in Germany, but man, I'm like going through withdrawal missing all my craft stores. Like there are craft stores, but they don't have nearly the selection of stickers or paper that like I'm used to in the US. We've been to a few. We actually started biking to some just because it was our thing on Saturdays then to see what each different craft store has, but they in no way compare to Hobby Lobby nor like Michael's or anything like that. So that is something that I definitely miss here. Now to our more general points. So in the US, you have a drugstore. This typically, like Walgreens would be one of them. You have all of the things you can find in DM or Rossmann, and there's a little pharmacy counter. So it's like you can get your prescriptions there and your like shower, some pet supplies, that type of stuff, all in one store. Here in Germany, it's different. So you have like your drugstore, like your DM and your Rossmann, but if you need ibuprofen or any type of medication, you need to go to an Outtakes.
Here's a point that as Germans, if you ever go to America, you might even be a little bit sad about this.
You will cry.
In America, and we're sad about it too, this is like, when we talk about going back to the US, that's like one of our key complaints, is that it is so hard to find an actual bakery in the US. Now for sure this like depends on the city you live in and even like the location within that city. So, but like in Germany, as you all know, bakeries are everywhere. You cannot like walk, I don't know, more than a couple blocks without seeing at least one bakery, and every grocery store has a bakery. And if it doesn't, the bakery's next door or something. They're everywhere, and that's great because German bread is fantastic, no complaints. And unfortunately in the US, we just don't really have that. In the hometown that I grew up in, I can only think of one bakery that we had, and it was actually fairly new. And it was actually so popular, they would sell out of all their bread in the morning.
Yeah.
And then they'd just call it a day because they didn't like have the staff or maybe the desire to make more. And that's how a lot of bakeries are in the US. Good homemade type bakeries usually sell out all in the morning because people want it so badly and there aren't any more to get.
Yeah.
Some bigger cities where there's a lot more culture, you'd find them so much more easily because there is that like cultural diversity of people from other countries who move to the US that want to like make those things and give it to other people. Yeah, so some of you joke about sending us chocolate when we move back. Start thinking about how you can get us bakery food.
That's more important than the chocolate.
Or maybe we can like find some German friends that want to like
open
immigrate to America and
they
we'll
can
have
open
a German
bakery. Okay.
Sign up in the comments. Let us know. We'll figure it out.
Oh jeez. So also, as you can kind of guess, Germany has more specific stores. Like each store has its own specific like products that it has. Where in the US you have more of like a
one fits
store.
all.
Yeah, one fits all type of thing. Like for example, Walmart. In Walmart, if you've never been there, this is a common department store, I guess you'd call it in the US. You can get food, you can get like fresh food, frozen food, fruit. You can get bakery items, you can get baby supplies, you can get shoes, you can get photos made. There's an electronics department, there's a home goods department for like your nails and screws and
There's
things.
a pharmacy.
There's a pharmacy. There's like the drugstore component where you can get vitamins.
Nowadays they even usually have a car garage, like a Werkstatt, like a place to have your car repaired.
And there's clothing. So you can get virtually anything you think you need from Walmart. And I guess the closest thing you'd have here to Walmart is like Real, because Real also tends to have like food, frozen and fresh, and some baked goods and home goods and a lot of things. But I still think Real is basically a food store, so it's not quite the same. It's quite similar. So when we move back, we also tend to really like this about Germany, that like there's specific stores because you can notice that they do it really well. And I think maybe this is why we have such a hard time with Walmart, because like although things are cheap, it's not necessarily like quality. Like the clothes are not stylish. The food tastes like mediocre, you know? Like it's like not one thing is done well, and this is like our perspective. Yeah. So we really like the whole fact that like stores specialize here. Sometimes it can be more complicated, but like for example, if you go shopping and then you just need ibuprofen, then you like have to find an apotheke just for one item. But usually they're nearby, so it's not a big deal.
Another huge difference when it comes to like stores, and even more specifically grocery stores in the US, are things like bagers and carts. And a really good store that we all can relate to as both Americans and Germans is Aldi. Main reason I bring up Aldi is because in the US, Aldi is the only store where you bag your own groceries and you use a coin to get your cart. And obviously as Germans, that seems so normal because every store does that. And in the US, having we both worked at a grocery store, we know like the pains of having to get carts back to the store as an employee.
So terrible.
As opposed to just having your customers return the cart. It makes so much more sense and it's not difficult at all, right? And don't even get me started on baking. Me and Ellie both spent time being one of like the, not managers, but just one step down. We made sure the whole entire cash register area functioned as best as it could. And it was like a capital sin if your manager walked over and saw that there was a customer bagging their own groceries. But like...
Hello?
Sorry about that important phone call, and I kind of forgot where I left off, so I'm just gonna wrap it up quick and say that, yeah, even in the US, bagging is like weird because ideally workers should bag your groceries for you, but I think we can both agree we don't mind bagging. It doesn't feel like a hassle to bag our own groceries when we go shopping here. But if you ever go to like the US, that's probably definitely something you have to get used to because they'll be like, what kind of bag do you want? And they'll bag them all for you as they're properly trained to. And I can just see how after living here, it's a weird experience because even if I were to go back to the U.S. now, I'd be like, no, go do something else.
I got
You don't
this.
need to spend your time on me. I know how to bag groceries.
Yeah. One of the last differences that we have for you, so this is also kind of one of the more specific ones, is that we know some people that will tend to go shopping like every day after they get home from work to, get dinner for that night or something like that. But being from the US, we typically go shopping like once a week because, we don't really have time during the work week to do things like that. And typically the stores are also so far away, so it makes it even harder. And we just find it interesting because our carts seem as full as like other German people, so we don't know how often they go shopping. Like maybe they have a bigger family and that's why they have a fuller cart. So we would like to know from you how often you go shopping. Is it typical for Germans to go shopping like every day? Is it typical for them to go shopping every other day? Or is it typical to go like once a week? We just find it interesting. I don't know why. So write us down in the comments below how often you shop, because we find this interesting, or how often you find that the Germans shop. With that in mind, we have made it to the end of our video. You have heard about how the stores in the US are different from stores in Germany. And you hopefully have also taken note that we are going to have a live stream. When?
On June 19th.
From what time?
From 9 a.m. American Central Time and 1600 Germany, that's Berlin, Paris time. So we will see you from the day this video is released in 6 days.
On Saturday.
Yeah.
Be there or be square.
Does that phrase even work in German?
Sei da oder rundeckig. Oder ein Quadrat. So.
We'll see you Saturday. Bring your questions, we'll bring the kitties, and it should be a fun time, right? Awesome. See you then.
Mark. But first, roll the intro. Oh, wait.
I feel rusty today, I don't know why. Maybe it's the bright building in the background.
The bright building makes you feel rusty.
Yep.
It's nothing
It throws me off.
It's nothing like blaming other things like that. Maybe it's the fact that I woke up. Looks like it's gonna rain.
Gray. Okay.
Why did we want to ask this? Oh, I just made an English language mistake. You say at what time, not from what time.
It'll be okay.